Okay.
Go ahead. All yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Astrid. I was very happy to see your invite, and also I'm very happy to be here with you today. I feel like the more the merrier. Yes, I have done maybe 1,001 things, but if it's only me, it's not worth it. So I'm glad if others are interested in joining the fun, because it is fun. It's work, but it's fun. So when we speak about science with lay audiences, a lot of us are like, I feel like the dog right there, like, I have no idea where to start on what to do, and what if I'm doing it, I have not much idea how to do it. So I hope that today we can go from this a bit lost dog into something a bit more confident, and that also looks like what you want to do and what you feel like doing. So today I hope I'm going to share some tips and tricks with you to help you get started and doing what you feel like doing, because I've done a lot, but there is much more to do. So a bit more about myself first. So I'm a chemist, but it's lame. It's not funny to say. So I said I'm a molecular designer. I think it's much more cool to say. I'm a PhD student for like a few more weeks, hopefully. The end is coming. And I've done, as you can expect from a chemist, conferences, experiments. I've done all of that, but where I had the most fun and what I've been doing nights and weekends and during the day a bit as well was science communication. And I've done, interviews of astronauts, radio interviews, experiments on TV, videos in the lab, and I also worked with many super cool people, a lot online, of course, over the last days, weeks, months, whatever, year, but we still did amazing things online, and I'm looking forward to go back to bars or in person for nice conferences and meeting people and actually having even more fun in person. So I've tried a lot of things. I'm not good at everything. Videos, I'm never gonna do it again. It was not my thing. Although I know it because I've tried. I had fun doing it, but not again. But that's fine. Just find your own path. So I work with many organizations. I want to highlight specifically Pint of Science because I've been working with them since 2016. First weeks of my PhD. And I'm now the director of Pint of Science, and we used to have at least 30 chapters across the country organizing public talks in bars. And this is all Astrid and I met in 20-something. I don't know, I was a PhD student, what is time anyways? And since I've created ComSciCon-CAN and ComSciCon-Quebec, who are two organizations supporting grad students to learn about science communication. So what I'm doing here is like a very short 1 hour thing, but we have 3 days dedicated to grad students with experts, keynotes, poster sessions, you name it. And it's a great community to be part of as well. And then many others. So like it's a common topic for many grad students or postdocs and profs on different professions as well. We want to connect with lay audiences, the general public as we call it, which I really don't like as an expression, but there are a lot of opportunities out there, but it's a matter of like putting yourself out there on trying. So first, why do we need that? Like, because our job is mostly to do science, not to speak about it, or you write a paper and then your prof is happy about it, and that's all, right? So why do we need science communication? So it's gonna be like very quick, but so usually the way that I see research, we publish a paper, we're like, yes, finally, this is over, and then we kind of like, brainstorm on like do the next one. But it means that we forget that we are doing science for others, right? Like we are supposed, to be like helping society in some way, somehow. And then by just being in that loop, we kind of forget like people who are doing the science for, and also trying to help the industry or non-profits or the government, depending on your topic of research. But we stay within that loop of academics, and then we kind of forget why we are doing science and to help you. And like having a paper behind a paywall is not helping anybody in the long term, except, you to get your PhD, sure, yes, that's a good start, right? But there is much more to that. And this is where I think that science communication can help. And so this is a survey by 3M in 2018. And they do one every year, and I'm looking forward to see the results from after the pandemic. But even 3 years ago, the results of the survey that were like summarized into these 2 articles are, I think, super encouraging. If you look at numbers like people are curious about science, they wish to know more. So I'm like, okay, so scientists have been missing something. Like there is an opportunity for us to speak about science that, people want to know more. So we often think that Canadians are like, yeah, well, you do science and this is your job and whatever. But actually, people want to know more. So what have we been doing? Like, we've been missing this opportunity right there. Which is a bit more concerning, in my opinion, is when Canadians describe scientists as elitist, like almost half of them. So the image of what a scientist is on do is, I think, for me, like, a missed opportunity. Like, there is something not well going on right there. And also they want less jargon. Like when 92% say that there is too much jargon and they don't understand what scientists are saying, this is also a big problem. So I think those results are encouraging in the sense that people want to know more about science. So that's cool for us. Like, speaking with science, they want to know more. It works well, right? But maybe that the way that we are doing it is not perfect. I mean, it's never perfect, but it's not even that good. I mean, less jargon and elitists are like pretty big numbers. So I think that scientists need to do a better job at communicating, but we should do it. And also, I think there's a big issue with how people think that the science is done. So when you Google scientists, this is what you found. It's most stock pictures look like that. So I think there is also an issue with how we explain the scientific method or the scientific research to the public. And my last issue, let's say, that I like today is also who we highlight. So often on TV, you guys see this old guy wearing a lab coat, because this is what scientists all do, right? And I think that we are missing on representing who scientists really are. So for example, we don't speak about science being done in languages other than English. And I think that Melissa Marquez, who is now in Australia, but doing from Puerto Rico originally, explained that very well in many of our articles, that, yeah, like, we need to speak about science in Spanish as well, because this is because a large portion of the population doesn't speak English, like not enough to understand science. So we need to also adapt to them. My friend here, Ajer, does science communication in Arabic, for example. She's based in Toronto, but she has a large following of Arabic people as well, or Arabic speaking people as well, because science is, all over the world, and we don't represent that well enough. And then you may have heard of like several Black in something week. So Black in ecology, Black in neuroscience, Black in chemistry. So it's been like this community has been very vocal over the last month, on specifically in science, to prove that everybody can be a scientist. So there is really like a problem with the representativity of science and scientists. If we as scientists, young cool people, don't show what science looks like, well, we cannot expect anybody else to do it. So we have to take the lead on that. Okay, now how to do it. So I'm going to share a few advice. This is going to be fast, and I'm not going to go in details, but I'll be happy to answer any questions later, because I want to cover many things with you today. So I cannot go in details with everything, but I hope it's going to give you some ideas at least. So my first advice would be to get to know your audience. So what does your audience look like? Usually the age is the principal, main factor that we look at. Of course, kids and adults, you don't speak to them the same way. But also, in which context are you going to meet them? Are they going to be kids, on the weekend, like having fun in the museum, or are they going to be kids in class? Are they teenagers on social media, or teenagers in classroom as well? Family is something. Is that like infographics in a park, or something like a long documentary on TV? Even if they're the same age, what is the background of the people that you're going to meet? Are they going to be like scientists already, so like a pretty strong science background, but maybe not in your field, or people who worked in other fields and just like hanging out in the bar? So you probably have heard of like the elevator pitch before. So like, can you explain your research in like 1 minute or like 30 seconds, something? But also, how often have you been asked by like a taxi driver, like an Uber driver, about your work, or like people sitting next to you on a plane? Tinder, you have interesting stories if you want to know. Not personal, but I've heard stuff. So maybe you should be ready to explain your research no matter when, right? You never know when it's going to be coming up. And also it's important to know, so first the language, obviously, like, French or English is like the main thing in Montreal, right? Like, I mean, you need to adapt to your audience, but also where people come from comes with like their cultural background as well. So the language that they speak, sure, but like speaking to somebody from France or from Quebec, you're not going to make the same references or the same jokes. You're not going to approach the problem the same way. So we need to speak a bit more about where people come from when we speak to them. I'm sure it's not always easy. You write an article, it's somewhere online or like on social media. You don't really know who's going to see what when, but maybe you should then be aware that it could be people that speak French or English, but they are not from your very tiny bubble of people living in Montreal that are bilingual and blah, blah, blah. So like maybe you try to reach like a larger audience, trying to like not exclude anyone. So I mean, it depends. If you want to do something for like a local newspaper in France, then it's fine. But just, knowing who you're aiming for and trying to adapt. So quick summary, usually the age, on the context and the objective, and the language or the cultural background. This is what we mean when we say know your audience. The more you know your audience, the more you're going to be able to tailor your content for them, and the more they're going to appreciate it. If you're saying like the general public, it means everything or nothing, and it's not helpful for you when trying to design a presentation, a talk, a video, like a script or like an article. My second advice would be, what is your goal? Because I want to tell people about science, and I want to, just say everything. Okay. It's cool, but at one point you cannot say everything to everyone in 10 minutes. So you're gonna have to refine your message. Yes, once again, the more you know about what you want to do on your audience, the more you're gonna be able to tailor your content and be effective. So what do you want to achieve with this like article, presentation, activity, whatever? You want to persuade others to develop an interest in your field. I feel like some field of science, I've discovered that myself as a PhD student, like epidemiology, I can say it. Like a few months ago, almost nobody knew what that was, right? So I feel like there's so many subjects in science that are unknown, and it's nice to hear about it. Do you want to explain a new discovery, like something like very specific that just happened in your field? Do you want to demonstrate the importance of your field? So for example, I'm studying green chemistry. So we are trying to prove that chemistry is not only making explosions and drugs. Green chemistry is going to change the future of science, of chemistry, but like in all the fields, because every single field of chemistry, whether it's drug chemistry, material chemistry, whatever, they're going to go towards greener alternatives. So a lot of my efforts have been trying to prove that green chemistry must be implemented by everybody in research, like every chemist in research, and also in the industry. And also, do you want to encourage changes in the behavior of people that are going to read or see you? Often for climate change, that's the case, or for some more medical topics. Like, so if you study diabetes, for example, do you have like healthier habits that you want to share with people and you hope that they're going to adopt them and change their behavior? Or about climate change, it's often like, maybe we should stop buying SUVs when you live downtown Montreal and just go to work 10 minutes away. Stuff like that. I'm sure there are many other objectives that you may have, or things that some could overlap as well. But those are a few ideas to help you direct your message or like fine-tune your work. My third advice would be clean up the jargon. So we mentioned jargon before. Remember, it was a big number of it's an issue. This is really putting a barrier between you and your audience. No matter who your audience is, even within experts. If it's like experts, if you're like 10 people niche, that's fine. Maybe we can understand each other. But even myself with other chemists, other PhD students in chemistry, we don't understand each other very, very often. And it's very concerning. And it's not because they're stupid, because we are all doing our PhD in chemistry. The issue is the word that we choose. And sometimes there are very different ways of explaining ourselves, different words, but it gets the message across and it's efficient. And it's much easier than just, shooting big words and then people are like, yeah. And then they actually had no clue what you just said, and you just lost this half-hour meeting because nobody got you. So what is jargon? That's the way of expressing oneself specific to a group, a profession, and which is difficult for others to understand. So basically, all the scientific words that are essential when writing an academic article, but they are scary and they don't bring much to non-experts, let's say. And no, it doesn't make you look smart, just pretentious, and it's not accessible. And yes, it works also within scientists. So we could spend hours trying to explain what to keep, what to remove, and all of that. It would be like a full workshop almost. But so we can discuss that at the end if we have time. But you can Google it as well, and giving a few tips on how to clean up jargon from your work. But so knowing your audience is fun, but then you have to adapt to it. My fourth advice, and I think this is the last one, develop a unique and tailored content. So now you know your audience, you know what you're trying to do, but bring your uniqueness as well. Because a talk about cancer, how many can we make? Thousands, right? But what is the angle that you're gonna bring? Is that because you work in that field and you just done that in the lab? Is that because someone in your family of yourself got this disease and then you can bring a different perspective? Or just because you're a younger person and it's like you're doing something different than this old one guy that did it on TV a few years ago, and now you're doing that on social media, on TikTok, and then it's cool because it's a different format. There are like many opportunities, and it's not because a topic has been discussed already that it should not be done. My point is that you have to bring your own voice into it and bring a different angle. And you have to find a story which is inside as well. Because saying, oh, I study cancer. Okay, well, I mean, that's a fact and it's fine. But this is not a story. People don't want to, know more if you just say, I study cancer. You have to find a story that's going to bring something unique and something like exciting that people want to know more. And it's not easy. Like finding the right angle on the right story behind the science and the data is not easy. But this is what makes it so valuable and so important as well, because you can bring your own perspective on things and people are going to be excited about it. Because, this study about cancer did that. Like, we all read that many times over the years. But then your own insight, that's what is very like hard to find for journalists and, outside, and then your own style as well. So it's a messy slide, and I'm still not sure how to express that myself. Okay, so this is my worst slide, I think. So bear with me on that. But basically, my point is that knowing your audience, I keep saying that, and I think it's very important. But also the format in which you're gonna deliver that, and the story that you're gonna say. My point is that if you want to tell a very long story, like a TikTok video is not gonna work, right? Because it's 1 minute, or like an Instagram story is not gonna work. If you want to reach out to senior citizens and help them with working from home, or staying at home, or like not going to a long care home, maybe TikTok is also not the best way. But if you want to do TikTok, then go for it. But then know that your audience is also going to be linked to that. So I don't want to say pick your audience and then do whatever you want with it, but because maybe you want to choose your format first, but still have in mind that the audience is going to be linked to that, and they should all be adapted to each other. And the story that you're going to be able to tell is going to depend on the format that you're going to choose as well, on the audience. If you want to speak to kids, like the focus is going to be like 20 minutes maximum, maybe half an hour if you're lucky. You cannot show them like a 1 hour video. So the format, the story, and the public, you have to know all of them, but you have to pick. But then you cannot pick one without the other, and they all come together, and it's not easy. And also sometimes you want to maybe try to branch out, and it's fine. But the algorithm is going to be against you. Like if you're aiming for 60 plus years old on Instagram and TikTok, the algorithm is not going to help you. So I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm just saying that you should know what you put yourself into and know your goals and your objectives and trying to make all of that match. I hope it's clear. Okay. I think I can give you a few minutes to do like one of those two challenges. So can you sum up your project in 3 emojis? So I can give you mine. So I study photochemistry on fluorescent molecules. So we shine light on a chemical solution and they shine. Okay, that was very easy, I give you. But I have another one for you. So I study nanoparticles of silver. So here is silver. And what I do is trying to make cubic structures instead of spheres. And as you would expect, spheres would be more stable as like a bubble soap. Bubble of soap, I'm gonna make it. A bubble of soap, it's round. This is more stable, but I'm trying to make cubes out of it. So this is really doing some magic to go against nature and against every laws of physics. And then we use some kind of like microscope, like not the one that you know from like your bio labs. We use like electron microscopes, but honestly, like we go to the atomic level. So this is more like a crystal ball than any microscope. So this one is like it's a bit of a stretch, but it still works very well for my research, I think. So I can give you a few minutes to think about it, or to do the other one, which is summarizing your project using the most common 1,000 words in the English. Today's stuff, Mondays, right? So summarizing your project using the 1,000 most common English words. And basically, if you go to that link, and then you can like type in the box, and when the words show up in red as the ones here, it is not part of the most 1,000 common words. So yes, those two challenges are gonna make you break down your research even too much. it's getting too basic, too simple. I mean, if you remove all the science, then there is nothing to say, right? So, but it's gonna help you deconstruct your project and find what is the very key message that you want to make, like come across. So yes, it's gonna be too easy and too simple for people then to share that afterwards. But it's a good way to, you know, remove all the extra stuff and see what is really at the core of your project. So I can shut up for a few minutes and let you think about it. I'll try to copy that in the chat without messing up my whole presentation. Can I do that? Can somebody do that? Oops, okay, I messed it up. See, now is the chat box. Oh, thank you. Somebody did this. Okay, so I can give you like 5 minutes to play with those two. And you can share them in the chat if you would like it afterwards.
I think the chat doesn't easily allow emojis, but if you do it in some other application, you can just copy and paste it over, and I think it works probably.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. That depends on your Zoom version, on if you have a PC or a Mac, indeed. No, I was supposed to be the first one.
Sorry, what?
I was supposed to be the first one because it shows up as like just a square, but I think that's
Oh no.
Is it the brain?
It's a brain, a microscope, and a person speaking.
I love it. Yeah, sometimes it works so well, sometimes it doesn't work very well. But
okay, I guess some people can see the emojis and others can't. That's too bad.
But I mean, I guess there's a brain. See, I got it. I love it. Yeah. Okay, Anna, I don't see yours. Man, okay, this is really not a lucky day today. So I see nothing, I. You want to tell me what you have? Sorry about that. Hearing aid. Oh, there is a hearing aid emoji. Ooh.
Yeah, there's a lot of brand new, very accessible emojis I've noticed. There's like a person in a wheelchair and like a bunch of other new ones.
Ooh. And I think like those two examples work so well. Like I couldn't tell you the the name of your PhD right there, but I feel like I get the idea of what you do with like 3 emojis, like no words. I mean, except the words describing the emojis that I can't see, but like oh, is it brain as well? Are you all using brain that we can't see today? Is that the go-to emoji? Ooh, this one is a bit more mysterious. Do you want to tell us what you're studying in a few words? Sivanya, sorry, yeah. I'm seeing you right there. I don't want to put
you no worries. So my research focuses on sex and gender differences in brain aging.
Brain aging, ooh.
There's no emoji for an old brain.
Yeah,
no, I couldn't find
one. Ooh. And then I have a piano and on like a confused face. I love that. And then I have, I guess, a brain somewhere, and then a bike. I'm sorry, Stephanie, I don't see the rest.
You're really missing out if you don't have the brain emoji, Alexandra.
Yeah, right? Usually it works. I've seen brains before.
It's a brain, a virus, and a cyclist.
The virus as well? Man, this is so not 2021. Right?
Yeah, really not.
I love that. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, well, I guess we're going to move on, but thank you for participating on, I think you can think about it a bit later as well. Oh, I want the money flying. Ooh. Okay, let's move on then. But thank you for participating, and I really appreciate that. It was fun. I think you can do it with your friends forever. You know what I mean? Like, I never get bored with that thing. Okay. Okay. So now, like those were like my few tips on like how to actually do something in science communication, how to like speak about your science or like a project or somebody else research. But now, how do you deliver that? So, I've done many things, especially in chemistry and in green chemistry, but I cannot do it all. And then you have to tell your whole story. Do you want to use a podcast, write articles, videos, public engagement, so like activities with the public face to face? Funny. Like in museums, talks, science and art, social media, storytelling, or you want to influence science policies? Pick one, pick many as you want, or maybe there are also other formats that I haven't thought of, but there are many, many ways. On all the tips that I gave you earlier should be applied to all of that. But there are many different venues. On all of them, you can tell different stories as well. So which is very powerful, but then you're gonna have to find your own way and like get started. And this is why it may not be easy. I got a lot of offers and a lot of people helping me to get started, and then it kept coming and going, so that was fun. But I can understand how it can be a bit scary to get started, and then you're like, but like, how do I start and where to start? So this is where I have listed a few things. And I want to remind you that Bidna is great, but he's not gonna go to speak in French to kids in Montreal or even more like Northern Quebec. He's not gonna do that. It's people like them, that are doing it. So all of them were grad students or recent graduates, and they've done many things, and they're from like many fields of science, and they are the people doing science communication. And sure, there are also older people on the board, but the grad students and the postdocs are really doing a lot of the work. And because we are excited, like we are dedicating our lives on our nights, on weekends, to doing science and research, and we love to speak about it. Then we have not much time left, but a lot of people are dedicating time to do that outside of what is being required from our degrees. And they look like us, they're young grad students, just nerdy enough to do that, and just they go for it. So I want to give you a few examples, and I think that 3MT, like 3-minute thesis, is the main door that people go through to get started with science communication. I don't know if that's the case for many of you in the room already, but a lot of grad students go through this science comm contest. But there are others, so dance your PhD, you literally dance your PhD, like it's like a few minutes video dancing your PhD. But Science Expose is also a fun way. It's organized by NCERC and ACFAS, and you just have to submit a photo. On this one is like a 1-minute video. I have 2 friends who won the Dance Your PhD on Science Action, and since they've done many other things, because they give them a test of science communication, and they're like, oh, it was pretty fun. And then they won, and they're like, oh, wow, so many people are looking at my videos, and they love it, and they keep writing to me. Since many opportunities came, and they enjoyed the ride, let's say. Now I want to focus more on like the face-to-face activities. So like Let's Talk Science, we have one on McGill campus, and there are, I think, one at Concordia, one at UQAM as well, and there are many more across Canada on Quebec. But basically they organize activities for kids, and then they can help you develop all the contents because they already have like a very long database of experiments. So this is a good way to get started because everything is already made, and they're gonna give you a platform on the public. Like, girls will code as well. If you like coding and you want to teach kids how to do it, there are a few organizations in Canada doing that. Skype a Scientist, you sign up and then they match you with classrooms in English or any other languages. You don't have to prep anything, they just match you and then you show up and you can make a few slides if you want to, but usually I'm just in the lab and I'm like showing the kids around and I'm telling them about my path in like, what did I do in uni, why I'm studying chemistry, what is a chemist, what do we do, and then a bit of my research. Explain by the State of Your Pens is based in Canada, and they do public talks for kids, but like with slides on all. Soapbox Science, we don't have one in Montreal yet, but there is one in Quebec, and there are many around the world and in Canada. It's women literally on a soapbox speaking about the science, and like in Montreal, it would be at Place des Arts or by the Vieux Port, for example. Like it's a public public place here, and then a dozen women just stand there, and like you can ask them questions about their science. So it's a very fun way to just connect with anybody passing by and be like, oh, I'm curious, I want to know more. And then of course, Pint of Science, you know. We've had many fields of science represented over the years, and it's always fun to be having a beer or anything else in a bar and talking about science. But there's so many other organizations doing that in Canada and Quebec, French and English, and you can even create your own, like there's no limit, and the more the merrier. So, but at least those are pretty well established already, so they're gonna give you a platform and gonna help you get started. But there are others, more academic one, let's say. Canadian Association for Neuroscience, Canadian Cancer Society, and the Chemical Institute for Chemistry, and others probably have outreach sections, and then they do different things in different cities. But it's just a good way to go check on their website what is offered around you. And then if there is nothing, you can also ask them some money to launch your own group. I don't know what could be done in 2021, but the sky is the limit again. Oops, who don't? And then I have a few of my friends who worked in museums, who created summer camps for kids as well. Those are NSERC-based organizations, maybe not that one actually. They don't create any content, but because they come back every year with this, like this one of those different festivals, the public knows, and then they do a lot of advertisement on, you know, they're gonna promote your activities, and basically you just have to sign up and say, oh, I'm gonna be in the old port, I'm gonna bring this table, and I'm gonna have a brain, and people can just like touch it and play with it, I don't know. And then if you sign up, you can be part of one of those festivals and be part of like something bigger with other scientists, but they're not gonna help you create some content. But they're gonna promote it and they're gonna give you a platform, which is also very good. But you still have all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want. Okay, now a bit more on the writing side. So everybody can write, right? But then it's a matter of like, oh, you're gonna share your work. Sure, you can have your own blog, or maybe you are maybe listen like some like research centers have their own blogs as well, and they let students or postdocs write some articles inside. Or you can find, I don't know if one of your fields matches one of the one here, but basically here they help grad students writing about their research or about somebody else research, and they help to like translate an article for like a very academic thing to something for like a lay audience. So that's one of the English ones. Papier Mâché does it in French as well. Massive Science, you can do anything, and they're gonna help you as well. And they're made for grad students, and it's run by recent graduates often. And same thing, they're gonna help you edit it because they know you're not an expert in it in the first place because you've been trained to write academic articles your whole life, right? It's what we do as grad students. But they're gonna help you, and they take postdocs as well. And Massive is a really great platform. And once again, they have a very large audience, so to disseminate your work afterwards, it's amazing. On the conversation, which also exists in French in Montreal, like in Quebec, sorry. Same thing, like they're journalists, but they work with academics to help you share your science. And it's amazing because they know that we're gonna suck at it. So, because I feel like sometimes trying to pitch your work to, I don't know, like Le Devoir, La Presse, or Montreal Gazette, like when we are grad students, it doesn't go very far. I have friends who made it through, but often we need to get started with stuff like that are more made for grad students. And as they said in the chat, you know, you have an opportunity for that to practice. So it's amazing to get started with that. And then you don't know, like write one or two with them, and then you never know what's gonna happen. So as I said, you can make your own blog. Some of my friends did that. Academic blog. So in that case, that would be the one of the Quebec Bioimagery Network, for example. McGill is not very good with a student paper to let others contributors, but I think that other unis in Quebec are a bit more open to having students contributors. Or if you're part of one of those unis, they have their own outreach magazine. So like UDM has DIR, for example, and I think they are taking articles still for the next semester. UCAM has his own contest. ACFAS as well, UDS as well. La Synthèse was made for INRS students, but they are now opening up, sorry, for one INRS only, but now they're opening up to all the INRS. And then Point Science was started by one of the grad students at IREC, but they are taking contributions for many grad students and postdocs from many fields as well. So if you want to contribute to them, it's also amazing. And all of those are amazing people to work with as well. So I cannot recommend them enough, honestly. Or you can create your own podcast. You can join a podcast. Many of my friends did that as well, and then they invite each other, and then it gives everybody a chance to, be interviewee and being interviewed once. On it's a different format. If you feel like chatting is better for you than writing, it's a good opportunity. If you want to be a bit more artistic, science and art is a good way to actually like create this connection with the audience. Sure, it's not gonna be like super hardcore and like a lot of details about your science, but it could be a good way to like make a connection on like it open like art allows to open doors that a very long article usually like prevents in some way. So comics, crochet, or Amanda writes on Petri dish, and then the drawings, when the bacteria grow, she brings them back to the kids and they're like, see, this is what you've done, like you've created that, and then the bacteria and the science help you. But there are many other ways. One of my friends did a whole show from Stephen Hawking's book, like the story of the time, I think. Like she made a whole show about that. And like I'm a chemist and I've done quantum mechanics classes for my undergrad, and I understood more with her, was no background in physics in the first place than my whole semester long class. So you never know. As I said, like the sky is the limit. I suck at theater, I would never do that. But if others can do it, please do. It's amazing. I said earlier, like science and policy, that's more your thing. Probably not exactly about your research, but just as a general picture, like trying to like influence how those research is being used. There are many ways to get involved. I'm really not an expert in that, but I'll be happy to put you in touch with the right people. And if you're in Montreal, the Science Policy Exchange used to have a lot of in-person meetings. I know they're opening up because it's online, so yes, convergence is amazing as well. Very good point. They are more in the neuroscience side, but they're definitely branching as well. So thank you, Alberto, for sharing that in the chat. And I want to give you a quick example of a few of my friends. So they're sisters, and one is a MD PhD, and one is a PhD student in neuroscience. And they're both working on, I can never say it, concussion in the brain, okay? So they really try to make a difference in the government about hockey players, because they are the one like very susceptible to this kind of injuries, and they wrote, policy notes, meetings, and they went to the parliament and really tried to make a difference on how we take care of that in the hockey world. And they have been doing actually quite a difference, even though there were two young ladies just be like, hey, let's give it a try. You could make videos. So like Syllabus was doing a PhD at Polytechnic. Although that's a full-time job, so you never know what's gonna bring you, but she explains math behind the, math facts, let's say, in everyday stuff. So she had a 15-minute video about screwdrivers. That sounds ridiculous, but I've learned so much. Like, I'm impressed, and I'm still like, I want to watch it again. It was so good. On Charles, one of my friends who studies, he's at UDS, but he studies kangaroos in Australia. So when he comes back, he does short videos about what he saw, because, Wood goes to Australia to do research, honestly. That's pretty cool. Social media, of course, you probably, you know what that is. I'm not going to describe what Instagram is, or like if you don't know what Instagram is, maybe you're probably not going to do some communication on Instagram. But TikTok is a brand new one, and I think it's an amazing opportunity to share science as well. I guess that YouTube and videos are falling into social media as well, but there are many ways on. Again, it also reaches to a kind of audience that other formats may not. So yes, sometimes you cannot be like very detailed, like an Instagram story is an Instagram story, but like if you do several stories after each other, then you can actually have, lots of details coming in, and like the blog, the writing sections on the captions, you can write a lot. So that's Sam. If you don't know her, really go check her out. She's amazing. Mostly on Instagram, but also on Twitter, on Facebook as well. So she writes very long captions that are very detailed and very informative, but also does stories that are also very informative. But sometimes she is like, okay, I'm going to tell you all of that, but then you can see more details in my caption. Research Reality is a research center based at U of T, and they also do a lot of profiling of their trainees. And I think it's nice to see like the faces of people doing science, because Sam was a PhD student at the time, but now she's done, and it's only herself usually. But this research center just features like different people on their stories, on their background, on the interest, on their hobbies as well. And I think it's nice to see who is doing the science. So those are only a few examples, and there are many, many more. And also you have to find something that, you know, matches your interest and your skills, on at least the skill that you'd like to have and you can develop. So now for the last few minutes, I can give you, so we have a bit, we have like 50 minutes left, but I can give you like 7 minutes to think about something. So think about like a topic, a format, and an audience, and then I'm gonna share the link in the chat, and we can all select a post-it, and we can write a few ideas on just, you know, no pressure. You don't have to do it. It can be also like the craziest idea ever, because I'm not gonna check if you've done it in a few months. You know, if money and time and whatever are no like constraints, just go for it. So I let you think about it and just take a post-it and give me your craziest ideas. Okay, my computer is really not happy with me today. Okay, so it's in the chat. So I invite you to open it, pick a color, and give me your ideas. That I'm not gonna steal, because this is your own topic, and you know, I cannot steal that. I don't know anything about biology in any level, so no pressure right there. I love to see all the squares filling in, and I think that's some ideas that are already like very polished, and I love to see that. And so remember, nobody ever suggested somebody in this format, but I love it. Like 5-minute capsules for TV in between cartoons. I would love that. I remember growing up with all the short clips about like, oh, eat healthier, like 5 veggies a day, or like you should do more sports. I remember all of that growing up like so well, and I feel like stuff about science, even in cartoons, I would love that. And I think that the topic that you choose is also very appropriate for this format and for this audience. I really love this idea. I think Estreeds is amazing as well. Why everyone should grow their own vegetables for mental health on free food in the form of a blog post on infographics. I think it's amazing. All motion MRI impacts inclusivity in research. I love it. And see, like I know you're in different unis on different programs, but you still are in the same bubble of experts. You know what I mean? Compared to like the field of science on part of the planet, but you still bring so many ideas to the table in so many different formats. And I'm sure that Estrid actually grows her own veggies, I guess, right? Because if you can speak about it, it's because you do that already, right? Because I could not write about that because I can barely keep plants alive. And when I say that, I'm not kidding, you know? That's the status of my plant right there. So I could not do it. I'm glad if Estrid knows about it and is willing to share. So we need people with different perspectives and different knowledge to share because, you know, this is your own story in a way. And it's perfect. Impact of lifestyle on brain health, it's a very important topic, and I think that I've heard that before, but if you can bring your own angle to that, it's amazing, and I'm sure that what Stephanie is thinking has never been done before, because you know there are so many ways of speaking about it, but like it's a topic that is recurring because it's important, right? But it's nice that you can approach it in different ways, on aiming for different audiences as well. Facebook video about why are there sex difference in dementia. I love it. Moving your body to music or we connect with others. That sounds super cool. Oh, I love that. Importance of accents. Yeah, I can relate. On the way of speaking for inclusion and social interaction. One page policymakers. Okay, Jonathan, have you heard at least about the Équipe Renard policy brief classes? If you're keen, we can speak about that later. If you don't know what that is and you're interested, but there is a nice online class about writing policy briefs if you're interested.
So it's also other stuff later.
Sorry, I missed that. Can you say it again? I missed the beginning. Okay, later. Awesome. I don't remember. Maybe I missed Anna's. Understanding mental illness and reducing stigma. Love it. So same thing. It's a topic that I've heard before. Like I've heard it mentioned, but not as a school workshop format. Like so many blogs and all exist, but maybe not targeted to children on adolescents, and also not in a workshop format. So I think it's great if you can bring your own knowledge to that and reach an audience, which is harder to reach usually. So I'm gonna go back to my slides to wrap it up, and then it's gonna be time for the questions. I have just a few things. I'm almost done. So if you have to go because it's almost time, no worries. You won't miss anything.
We have time. Don't worry. We've
okay.
We can, yeah. Just keep going.
So those are like 3 articles that I really recommend. So I just went through my slides very quickly and give you a lot of ideas, but I cannot list them all on very fast. If you want to read about it, those 3 articles are going to be a nice way of summarizing what I've discussed so far. And then I want to let you go on that quote from Maya Angelou that I really like, and I think it applies to self-communication perfectly well, almost like it was meant for it. So the quote reads, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And I think it's a good way to segue into my last advice would be that empathy is key for good communication, and the facts won't win, but storytelling will. So as I said, the story is important. It's not only like the topic is cancer research, okay, but like the story behind it is what is going to make people interested in your topic, and what are going to keep people interested is how you phrase your story. If you just throw a bunch of data on tables and graphs, you're going to lose your audience right away. But the story behind it and the storytelling and all, this is what is going to keep the audience hooked to your story. And why empathy is so important? If you're like this elitist scientist, be like, this is my PhD, I know it all. You're stupid. Then it's over. Like people are gonna shut down and they're gonna leave on their right. So empathy and storytelling are, I cannot teach you to do that. Like right there, it's so hard. Like it would be like a full 1 hour workshop, and it's also like a lot of practice. but practice with your friends, practice with emojis. This is how we get started, or just we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we've learned during our PhDs or masters to get into this academic format, and we kind of have to earn on that to match the general public, which I hate to say that, but that's the reality, unfortunately. And the last things, put yourself out there. You're scientists, you should experiment. You know, we know what trial and error is. We know what failing is. Research is part of it. If you have to try something new, then something. You may not be perfect at it the first time, but it's okay. You may also not like this format, or you may not like this audience, and it's fine. Some people working with kids, this is not their thing, and they don't know until they tried. But it's fine. You're still gonna learn something. They're gonna learn something. Hopefully, you just maybe gonna say, well, this is not my best thing to do because I don't like it, or because I was not very good at it. But I'm sure you can be good at something else, and you're gonna like something else if that's the case. On what you've learned during this first experiment, you're gonna use it for the others. And there is room for everyone. Each voice is unique and valuable. So that's why I'm trying to emphasize that you can speak about the same topic, but if you bring your own voice, you're gonna make something unique, and it's gonna be important. So you rock, go for it. Please try. Please let me know once you try it. I'll be very happy to emphasize what you've done, and I'll be happy to give you feedback. And I just want to see that, you know, it's going somewhere. On that, not because I'm like checking boxes like who did what when. It's more like I'm happy to see that when there are new initiatives, I'm just very curious because I'm a kid inside. I'm just very excited about everything in science. So last thing, Pint of Science is coming back in a month now. So I'll be very happy to see you there. And if you want to get an idea of like what, you know, or people speaking about their science, it's a good format to just, you know, get to know scientists or to speak to larger audiences. And also if you want to get some training, ComSciCon-CAN on the other chapters are still taking applications until very soon. So if you're watching this video before the deadline, you can apply, otherwise next year. And the French event is already full, but it's going to be back next year as well. And we take grad students and recent graduates after 1 year of graduating. So, and it's a perfect opportunity to learn for grad students and like recent graduates. So yeah, I think that now you feel more like this dog, like I got it. Yes, I can make something cool. I believe in myself. That was the goal of today. So I hope it came across. And I hope that I gave you a few ideas of what to do to speak about your science or just science in general with lay audiences. That's all for me, and I'd be very happy to answer your questions. Now, you can tweet me, you can email me, you can whatever. I'll be very happy to give you some insights or contacts or whatever afterwards. Voila! Thank you for being here or listening to the recording.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexandra. It's so great to have you. Everyone, feel free to ask questions. Now, let me turn off the recording just because we don't need to keep going, and then hopefully